everybody, welcome back to the Tay and Emily Adventures. Today we're going to be making some homemade sausage rolls. So you're going to need 250 grams of plain flour, 125 grams of butter. You can either use salted or unsalted depending on your favourite preference. You will need 1 to 3 tablespoons of milk and a pinch of salt. So to start this recipe, you're going to start sifting in some plain flour into a large bowl. Now, I don't have a sifter, so we're just going to hope for the best. So gradually add your plain flour to the bowl. Okay, so you start with the butter. Room temperature butter. Start by getting some cubes of it, like this. Throw a couple in. I would say probably add the whole thing as well. But if you're a bit unsure, just do a couple of pieces, maybe about half of the butter to begin with, so you have more surface area like this. You're then going to start mixing it in with your fingers. Now, I've always been taught to use the fingertips for this, more so that it activates the fats in the butter, helps make a more meltier pastry. Now this is going to make, I believe, a short crust pastry. I'm not brave enough to attempt to try and make a puff pastry, so we are just going to make a short crust thing. Keep going until your butter's broken down and then your pastry dough resembles a breadcrumb texture, I suppose. Okay, so when your dough gets to a breadcrumb consistency, this is the part where you start adding the liquid. So get the 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 tablespoons of milk, and then you're going to start adding it to the mixture. So add it very, very slowly. You don't want to add too much because you want to be able to control the liquid. It will start amalgamating. It will get to a point where you will have to start using your hands again though, because you're going to be able to knead the dough. For the time being, you can just use the spoon to mix it in. At this point, you will feel some resistance. So this is the part where you will have to reuse your hands. So start forming it into a dough. Push, grab, squeeze, push, grab, and squeeze. Now, I'm not going to add too much more because I don't want my dough to be sticky. So I would say possibly 1 more tablespoon. If you get to a point where your dough is too sticky, just add a smidgen bit more plain flour in there to keep absorbing some of the liquid. There we go, and there's our dough. Now you're going to wrap it up in some cling film, store it in the fridge for 20 minutes, and then we'll be back to roll out and show you how to make the sausage rolls. Now then, your pastry has been in the fridge for 20 minutes. You're now going to put it on a floured surface. You're going to need a bit more flour on top, just to help with the rolling process. Now, if you've put it in the fridge longer than 20 minutes like I have, it might be a little stubborn to begin with, but it will soon start rolling out. So here's our pastry. Right, you're going to want to cut your dough to be rectangular, purely for the fact that it is a lot easier to put the sausages in. So you're going to want to measure it first to see how things fit. I think we can do 3 across. Now, to test it out first, roll it and then crimp underneath it just to give a casual guide of how many sausage rolls you're going to be able to make. So if I cut that out, I can do that. And pop that in the pile. Right, so for this one, for the amount that we've done, I can make 6 sausage rolls. However, I am going to be cutting them in half anyway. So then we're going to be making 12 sausage rolls. Now, if they break a little bit, just dab them together, not the end of the world. Now, you can either use milk or you can use an egg mixture. I would usually normally use milk, but I have egg mixture spare from a Welsh cake recipe I just did. So waste not, want not. So you're going to want to put egg on one side, fold that round, and then crimp it like that, so that the edges meet like that. It doesn't matter if the sausage is visible from the ends, it's not the end of the world, but make sure it is tight to the sausage rolls. Find where the middle, or not the middle, find where the end of the sausage is, and cut the excess pastry. So this is what you'll have. Now, if it's not as neat as tidy as you want and you don't want this much excess, you can take that bit off. It's not necessary, but I like to have extra to make sure it stays. Now you're going to take a sharp knife, here's one, and you're going to want to do a couple of slits inside like this. This will help not only the heat get into the sausage roll, but also the heat to leave the sausage roll. Because there's nothing worse than having way too much soggy mess. They're going to explode. You don't need that. Okay, so let's trim these, make them look nicer. Okay, now slice it in half. So these are the little sausage rolls we're going to be having. Okay, you're then going to get a tray. You're going to get us a bit of butter. Make sure it is completely covered. You're then going to add the sausage rolls you've just made. Go, I'm going to add another slit in that one because I feel like we've lost some there. There we go. Okay, you're then going to get the egg wash. Like I said, you can either use milk or egg. And then just glaze the tops. This helps it not only brown, but also make sure it doesn't dry out and doesn't burn. Now you just put them in the oven, gas mark 6, for about 15 to 20 minutes until golden brown. Okay, and that's done. Sausage rolls complete. Not as brown as I would have liked them, but they are completely cooked. They have browned a little bit, as you can see. Boiling hot touch. Ow. Let me know in the comments below if this is something that you would try to make yourself. If you would add anything like any dairy or any seasoning, such as putting cheese in it, chili, paprika, any other ways you make sausage rolls, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.